him to give them fruits, vegetables, and water to drink. But he tells them that if they are found not as healthy as the men who eat from the king's delicacies, his head will be endangered for the king. So they go to a eunuch and they ask him to test them 10 days, and if they are found healthier than any of the young men who eat from the king's delicacies, they can eat their fruits and vegetables. So the eunuch tests them, and after the 10 days, they are found much healthier than any of the young men who eat from the king's delicacies. So after this, King Nebuchadnezzar tests them with a exam, and after the exam, they are found much smarter than any of the wise men.
Yes, 10 times.
After this, King Nebuchadnezzar has a dream, and he calls for his wise men. Some people get the mistake that King Nebuchadnezzar forgot the dream, but he didn't. He tested the wise men. He told them that he will be sure they can tell him the right interpretation if they can tell him the right dream. So the wise men tell him that there's no man on earth who can do this except for gods, whose dwelling is not of flesh. So King Nebuchadnezzar makes a decree that all the wise men should be killed. So Arioch, captain of the king's guard, rounding up all of the wise men, goes to the house of Daniel, seeking to kill him. Daniel asks Arioch what is so important of the king's decree, and he goes to the king after the decree is made known to him. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Making sure everyone's listening. So he goes to the king and he asks the king to give him time, and then he will make known the dream. So he goes back to his house, tells his friends, and he prays. And after praying in the night vision, he is revealed to the dream. And then he praises the Lord, saying, "Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. For he changes times and seasons, he removes kings and raises up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those that have understanding. He reveals deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and light dwells in him. I thank you and praise you, O God of my fathers, for you have given me wisdom and might, and made known to me what we have asked of you, for you made known to us the king's plan." So after this, he goes to the king. The king asks him if he can tell the dream and its interpretation. And Daniel says, no, he cannot. But there's a God in heaven who reveals secrets and dreams, and he made known to Daniel the dream. But it is not because he was wiser than anyone living, but so that for the sakes of those who make known the dream to the king, and also so that he may know the thoughts of his heart. While the king was sleeping, he was thinking of what would happen when he dies, what would happen to his great kingdom. And it was made known to the king. So, while King Nebuchadnezzar was sleeping, he saw a great image with a head of gold, arms of silver, a belly of bronze, legs of iron, and feet of partly iron and partly of clay. And after this, a stone was thrown at the image, and struck the feet, and it became like chaff on the summer threshing floors. And after this, the rock became a great mountain that filled the whole earth. After this, when King Nebuchadnezzar heard this, he fell on his face. Daniel said that the head of gold was King Nebuchadnezzar, the arms of silver was Medo-Persia, the belly of bronze, Greece, legs of iron, Rome, and the feet of partly iron and partly of clay meant that the kingdom of iron would be divided. But it would have the strength of the iron, but also be partly fragile, just as you saw partly iron and partly of clay. When King Nebuchadnezzar heard this, he praised the God of Daniel and made the decree that Daniel have a very high position. And Daniel asked the king, and Daniel's friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were set over the affairs of the province of Babylon. So after this, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm sure everyone is paying attention. So, Daniel, after this, King Nebuchadnezzar had made a golden image, just like his dream, saying that his kingdom would last forever because it was all gold. And he made a decree that when different kinds of instruments played different kinds of music, everyone should fall down and worship the golden image. And if they don't, they'll be thrown into a burning, fiery furnace. So, after this, he called for all of his officials, don't know where Daniel was, and among them were the three friends, of course. And he made different kinds of instruments, played different kinds of instruments, and everyone fell down and worshipped the image. But then certain Chaldeans were probably jealous, went to the king, telling him, there are some officials who you've set over the affairs of the province of Babylon who have not given account to you. They have not worshipped your idols, nor bowed down to the golden image which you made. King Nebuchadnezzar asked who, and the three Chaldeans, or the few Chaldeans, said Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So King Nebuchadnezzar called for the three friends and told them he'd give them one more chance to worship the image. But the three friends said, no, don't give them a second chance, for they will not bow down to the image, but their God would save them. But if it is the case that the Lord doesn't save them, let be known to you, O king, that they will not bow down to your image nor worship the idols which you've made. So when King Nebuchadnezzar heard this, he was furious and made a decree that the burning fiery furnace be heated 7 times more than it was usually heated. And it was so hot that the strongest men of the army, who tied the three friends, took their clothes, and threw them into the fiery furnace, were killed by the heat. After this, King Nebuchadnezzar wonders why there are 4 people in the fiery furnace and why they're not hurt. So he calls for the 3 friends. They step out of the fiery furnace and they are not hurt by the heat. There's no smell of fire on them. So after this, King Nebuchadnezzar falls on his face. He prays the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. After this, King Nebuchadnezzar has another dream. And this dream is about a great tree that reaches up to the heavens. And after this, a watcher tells that the tree should be cut. Good morning, everyone!
Good morning.
Someone wasn't listening. So, the tree was cut. After this, a chain of iron was around it. But after this, King Nebuchadnezzar told the wise men, and even when he told the wise men, they couldn't understand this and weren't able to give an interpretation. So he calls for Daniel, or Belshazzar, as he likes to call him. And Daniel is very astonished by this dream and afraid. King Nebuchadnezzar asks, or tells Daniel not to be afraid by the dream or its interpretation, but tell him the dream. So Daniel says that the king is a great king. Everyone he set up whatever he wanted, he put down. But because his heart is proud, he shall be turned into a beast. And he shall be wet with the dew of heaven. He shall eat grass like oxen and have claws like an eagle. So, this is Daniel gave advice to the king that he should not be proud, give to the poor, and maybe the Lord might have spared him from this punishment. King Nebuchadnezzar is able to do that, but only for a while, and after this he does it. While he's looking at his kingdom, he says, "Is this not a great Babylon which I have made?" And when the words came out of his mouth, an angel came and said, "You're a beast. You shall eat grass like oxen. You shall be wet with the dew of heaven and have claws like an eagle." And when that happened, he was driven from his position, and he ate grass like oxen and was wet with the dew of heaven. Only for a while, and after a while, he praised the Lord and he was turned back to a heathen. So after this, his son takes the throne. It's Belshazzar. Belshazzar is just as proud as his father, and he makes a party for his lords. And he takes the articles from the temple which his father stole, and they drink wine. And they praise the god of wood, stone, iron, technically every mineral on the planet. And while this is happening, opposite the lampstand, on the plaster of the wall, a hand writes on the wall an inscription no one can understand. And so King Belshazzar, very worried, makes a decree that if anyone is able to say the interpretation and its meaning, they will be made third ruler in the kingdom. They will have a ring of gold, chain of gold around their neck, and wear purple clothes, which means they're very powerful and rich at that time. So after this, King Belshazzar looks for anyone who can understand the inscription, but no one can. So the Queen Mother comes and tells Belshazzar that during the time of his father, there was a man who could explain visions and enigmas, and his name was Daniel. So he calls for Daniel, and Daniel the king tells Daniel that he would be given gifts if he's able to explain the interpretation or the inscription. So Daniel says, "Keep your gifts, but I'll tell you the inscription. O king, your father was a great king. Whoever he wanted, he set up, and whoever he wanted, he put down. But because his heart is proud, he was turned into a beast. And even though you knew this, you became as proud as him, and have drank from the articles of the temple, and have not praised the God who hold your breath in his hands, but instead praised the God of wood, stone, and iron, who cannot see nor hear." So this is the inscription, explained word for word. Meneth. God has numbered your kingdom and finished it. Tekel, you've been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Perez, God has given your kingdom to the Medes and the Persians. So after this, even though Belshazzar knew this, instead of praying and asking for forgiveness, he continued to party, and that very night he was assassinated by the Medes and the Persians because all his guards were drunk. So after this, Darius, the father-in-law and uncle of King Cyrus, takes the throne. And he becomes very good friends with Daniel and sets over the kingdom 120 satraps and 3 governors. Among them was Daniel. And the other 2 governors and the 120 satraps were very jealous of Daniel because he was very close to the king. So they looked for ways to frame him. So they check every law, but there's nothing they can find. against Daniel. So they say to themselves, we won't find anything against Daniel, thus it's against his God. So they go to the king. They tell the king, we have a decree for you, O king. Don't let any man make any petition against any god except for you, O king. The king's ego spikes up, so he signs a decree with his signet ring and the signet ring of his lords. So after this, Daniel, even though he knows the decree, goes to his house, he prays to the Lord, not even closing the window or hiding it. And because the governors and the satraps were stalking him, they go to the king and they tell Daniel's praying. So the king goes to court and he tries to save Daniel, but according to the laws of the Medes and the Persians, when you make a decree and you sign it with the signet ring of yourself and your lords, no matter what your position is, you can't change it. So Daniel was thrown into a lion's den. So King Cyrus doesn't sleep. He wakes up early in the morning and he checks on Daniel, asking Daniel if the Lord has saved him. Daniel says that the Lord sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth. Some people say the lions weren't hungry, but they were, because after Daniel was freed from the den, the satraps and the governors, including their wives and their children, were thrown into the den, and before they even touched the bottom of the floor, their flesh was devoured and their bones were broken. So after this, we go back to the first year of Belshazzar. Daniel has a dream, which ironically he can't remember. This dream is about 4 beasts. First is a lion who has 2 wings, but the wings are plucked out and it's told to stand on both of its hind legs. Its heart is changed from man to a beast. Next is a bear with 3 ribs between its teeth, and it's told to arise and devour much flesh. After this, a leopard with 4 heads and 4 wings. And lastly, a monster which you can find under your bed if you do not pray. This beast has claws of iron, teeth of iron. It has 10 horns, and out of those 10 horns, 1 low horn which plucks out 3 other horns. It has a very ugly face which speaks pompous words against the Most High. Speaking of the Most High, the Ancient of Days comes to explain to him the dream. The dream is that the 4 beasts are 4 kingdoms. First, the lion, which is Babylon, and the second beast, the bear, is Medo-Persia. The third beast is Greece, and the 4th beast is Rome. This kingdom will have 10 kings, but out of those 10 kings, 1 king he shall subdue 3 kings and start a war with the Most High. And then, while the Ancient of Days is explaining, the little horn starts warring with the Ancient of Days, and the Ancient of Days is losing. But then he wins, defeats the horn, and no one saves the horn. And then all the kingdoms are destroyed. After this, we go to the 3rd year of Belshazzar, and Daniel has another dream, which again, ironically, he cannot understand. So, this is about 2 animals, a ram and a male goat. First up, the ram near the river Ulai, and it has 2 horns, 1 horn taller than the other, but the taller one came up last, which does not make sense for the Jews. And this horn pointing westward, northward, southward, and eastward, and it makes sure that no animal comes near. But then a male goat, going all around the earth without touching the ground, which is just flying, attacks the ram, and the male goat wins. The male goat has a significantly big horn, and after a while the horn breaks, and then four horns come out. Now those four horns, one little horn, and this little horn starts persecuting the saints, casting down stars, but only for the 2,300-day prophecy. So after this, we go to the first year of the reign of King Cyrus. And, I forgot. Gabriel explains to Daniel the male goat and the ram. The ram was Medo-Persia, and the male goat was Greece. But out of Greece would come a kingdom, and out of that kingdom would come four kings, and out of those four kings would come one king, and he'd cast down stars and make war with the Most High. Kind of like the first one. So after this, we go to the first year of King Cyrus, and Daniel has another vision. This vision is about Gabriel. He's fighting with the princes of Medo-Persia, and after this, he'd fight with the princes of Greece. But first, he was losing with Medo-Persia, so then Michael will come and help him, but then they'll fight Greece. So after this, supposedly, Daniel's going to be explained this dream by Gabriel. But instead of Gabriel explaining to Daniel the dream, he says, "No one opposed against me except for Michael, your prince," and then leaves. So Daniel starts looking for an answer through the scriptures. He starts checking the scriptures, and he stumbles upon Jeremiah's prophecies and sees that the 70 years of their exile is almost over. So he prays to God, getting his hopes to high, saying, "Oh, thank you, Lord, for freeing us, being patient with us." But then he gets the bad news that because the Israelites are still sinning, they are going to have to stay in Babylon for so much longer. So Daniel is very sad, but then he has another vision. This vision is about kings. This vision is about one king going to attack another. It's just war. It's all war, and at the end, the person who comes on top is the king of the north. And the northern king has his conquest, starting attacking the promised land and many other kingdoms. But then he dies and no one saves him. So after this, Daniel has one final vision. And this vision is about three people talking about when Jesus will return, talking also about how blessed are those who wait till Jesus comes, talking about how people will be persecuted. And then they say, when Jesus is coming. And Daniel's about to write that for us. But instead of writing down when Jesus is coming, one of the people talking in the vision tells him to close up the book and go his way. And then he assures Daniel that he goes to heaven and then the book ends. So that's the book of Daniel. Yeah. So the book of Daniel has many lessons, but I'm going to only say one. This lesson, just like it says on the TV, is about faith. Despite of troubles, despite of worries, we can trust in God. We can have faith in Him if we put Him first. Because when we put Him first, everything comes after.
Oh, yeah.
And even like the three friends who, even when their lives were threatened, they were going to be eaten by lions, be burned by fire, and almost killed by a guard, they put God first, and when they did that, the Lord was with them no matter what.
Yes.
But how can we do that if we have a weak faith? The message here is that we should be putting God first before everything that we do. But the only way to do that is if we know our God. So, how can we know our God? Through constant communication, through prayer and worship, of course. We must spend time with God. Put Him first. We should pray to God, have worship with Him always. So that's what the book of Ezekiel teaches us.
Amen.
Yeah. I almost forgot something. Before I end, I'm going to teach a song for our memory verse. GC, please sing with me. It's Daniel chapter 2, verse 20 to 23, and it says, "Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are His. For He changes the times and seasons. He removes kings and raises up kings. He gives wisdom to wise knowledge. To those who have understanding, He reveals deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and light dwells in Him. I thank You and praise You, O God and my Father, for You giving me wisdom and might." Yeah, thank you. So GC, please sing with me. Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are His. Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are His. For He changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and raises up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and light